What's going on, sir?
What's up, dude?
Yeah, alright? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Glad that you came by, sat down and talked with your boy. We wanted to go through, talk about a couple of topics today. How you feeling?
Man, there's been some crazy things going on in this world.
Yeah.
You got that situation that happened at McKinney.
Yeah.
You got the situation that happened at the Capitol.
Yeah.
And then I'm like in the mind state of how these young players are starting to, these young student athletes are actually thinking more about the community versus the TV sponsorships.
Yeah.
It's some serious change going on in this world, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's exciting, it's scary all at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to definitely dive into that, man.
Yes,
Glad
sir.
to have you back, man. Go ahead and let the people know who you are, man, before we start up, man.
Hey, what's going on, man? My name is Red, man. Hey, I keep it simple. I'ma always keep it 100 with you. Comment, like, subscribe, the whole nine. You got anything you want to personally ask me, you got anything you want me to talk about, send it to me. We'll research it, we'll make it happen.
How they get in contact with you?
Oh, man, how you get in contact with me, man? You got foundational results.
Okay,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna keep it here at the channel. He wants to stay locked in. For you guys that don't know Foundational Results, this is gonna be a weekly podcast show. We're gonna come at y'all live and direct with topics. Two normal guys, two educators. You know, one guy that still works for the school district, another guy that's consulting right now. But at the same time, we want to talk about real issues in the community that are happening where we are. We're in the state of Texas right now, so we just want to let that be known. Love Texas. We're going to talk about a couple of things that are taking place in Texas and just national news. And so with no further ado, we'll get all the other stuff down in the link inbox, all that contact info, whatever. This is episode 1, Foundational Results podcast, and we're coming with you. Like I said, I got a special guest, my buddy right over here. He's going to be with me, throughout the whole process. Let's open it up and talk about what happened in McKinney. And I'll set the stage for the people who don't really know. Out in McKinney, Texas, in Collin County, there was a situation where a young man between the age frame of 19 to 23, I'll give you that range, was arrested. He did have a mental health issue background. He had a mental health background. It was on profile, it was public. However, when he did get stopped, he was stopped for marijuana use, for having a joint, and they ended up taking him to the police station. Mm-hmm. And so when they took him to the police station, he was kind of in resistance towards it because I guess he felt like, you're taking me to jail for a joint. Yeah. Why would I not get a ticket? Yeah. Why come we can't sit back and talk to somebody and make it seem this might be something, there's some recovery for me, for my mental health. And, just to be able, there should have been some sort of a process in between before he was arrested. Yeah. Well, the arrest had a lot of resistance to it, ended up involving a spit bag and everything like that. They came back and checked on him hours later. This is what was reported. And the guy actually died in the jail. The chief of police for Collin County is looking into it. They got Texas Rangers and different people that are looking into it. We wanted to bring some awareness to it for guys being two black educators and just people that want to come out and talk. This is a major deal for me because I'm from Denton, Texas originally. Shout out to all my Denton peeps. You know what I'm saying? Love you guys. And wanted to kind of bring up and say that this police brutality with young black guys
in general,
or young black women or black people in general, it is something to talk about. And you have to understand, guys, before I even let him get into it, civil rights only took place in between 50 to 60 years ago. Like, in reality, Martin Luther King would be in his 80s this year. It's not very old. For anybody who thinks from a conservative standpoint, from a democratic standpoint, that people are coming in and talking about what's happening and what's taking place to black people like it's something that we should just be over with, it just ended. Like, my dad went through it, and my dad was born in 1952. So he's 67 years old right now, and he remembers it vividly, not being able to do that. Guys, there were racial issues, national bound, in the United States that caused problems, and we're still having problems. It feels good to sit up in your backyard or somewhere comfortable if you've never had to go through with that. And I think that the young man out there in Collin County has went through a whole lot. His family has went through a whole lot. The lawyer's been speaking up on his behalf. How does that make you feel, though, when we talk about that issue? Just tell me some things that things that are going through your mind right now.
That issue right there actually encapsulates a total aspect that's always being forgotten. Like Joe said, about 50, 60 years ago, right? There was this law in place that was called separate but equal.
Okay.
Now, we know that it technically wasn't separate versus equal because we know of, what is it? Brown versus the Board of Education in Topeka.
Right, Topeka, Kansas. Right.
Topeka, Kansas.
Right.
The argument was the little girl was
Right.
not able to go to school.
Integrate, correct.
That was in close proximity to her, and she had to go further down the road, which nobody would do nowadays, which was like 5 miles, walking 5 miles. If you've ever walked 2 miles, you're not walking 5. Like nobody in my generation, they might say, hey man, we ain't never walked no 5 miles in no school, unless you missed a bus.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the newer generations, they don't even like walking no more.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. They don't even like walking. So this little girl was walking 5 miles by herself to go to school. And she was going to a school that did not have the same education benefits as the school that was down the street. Now you call that separate, but then you say it's equal. Well, how is it equal? That's what the argument was, and the argument was won. Now, with this whole situation as far as there is no racism in America, well, if you do not know, I'm going to tell you, that's a lie. Because if you're anybody, and I'm not even going to say a black person, if you're anybody of a minority, Asians included, because now you got this Asian stop the hate, because we know what's going on with that, because they blaming them from the coronavirus.
Okay.
Right? It's minorities in general, the Hispanics all the time, because they always call them illegal aliens. Legal alien is a horrible term because anything you associate as being an alien, you do not have an association with. So therefore, you desensitize and detach yourself from it. And that's why you don't really care when you hear the word illegal alien. It's all subliminal mind games. You need to make sure you understand what we're talking about. Next on that, then we just have the regular black folks. I'm not going to sit here and go through all 50 or 150 years worth of 400 plus years of oppression that has happened since we got here. And I'm not doing all that. You know what's going on. And then we have these Anglo-Saxon people, right? These Anglo-Saxon people, I call them European sometimes because none of y'all are from here. The reason why you're here is because your home country did not want you here. And they sent all of their murderers, their thieves, their bad apples, so to speak, over here to America, right? So technically, you're not from America neither, yet you are American because you're born here, just like I'm an American. I was born here, and I'm no different than you in the things you go through. Point and play. If you cut me, do I not bleed? Right? Okay? There are certain aspects that happen. I know that if the stove gets hot and I touch it, I'm going to burn. There's no difference than what we're talking about. We're just one human being race. We're the only country that talks about race. If you really break it down and you go do your history, we're the only country that talks about race. Be honest with you, it's stupid. Because everybody is going to have differences. And differences what makes this world great. If everybody act like me and this man over here, be born. You wouldn't tune in because you already know what I'm going to say. Being different gives a unique quality of the unknown. And just because it's unknown doesn't necessarily mean it is a crime. And I'm tired of this nonsense going on.
Okay.
Anytime we're being apprehended or we're being policed, and I'm actually a victim of this too, and that was right here in Houston. I was a delivery car driver for a Pizza Hut. While I was a Pizza Hut delivery car driver, I was pulled over. The man pulled me over, screamed at me, had his hand on his gun, and told me, "Put your hands where I can see them." When my hands was already on the steering wheel, then he asked me for my license and registration. The only thing I could tell him is, "Sir, I have to move my hands. Please, whatever you do, do not shoot me." Now, I could have went off and did some other things, and if I'd have did that, I might not be here today. Because when he came up to my car, he approached me like I was already guilty. People, he pulled me over for a speeding ticket. Speeding ticket that really wasn't valid, but that's a whole nother story. He pulled me over for a speeding ticket and asked me if I had drugs in the car. I have an entire Pizza Hut uniform on. I am the greatest drug dealer alive if I'm selling pizza and I'm using it as a cover to go move my dope throughout the city. It didn't make any sense. And after I was able to do that, I immediately kept my hands on there at all times. Anytime I moved, I made sure to let him know that I was getting ready to move. Because mind you, he still has his hand on his pistol the whole time. And he's hollering at me like I'm some kind of boy or something. But I gotta deal with this. And this is the type of oppression that happens on these stops that's never really televised. Now, the problem of the matter is when these oppressions do happen and you are guilty and you do go to jail, now it's the unknown. Now all of a sudden things happen. And if they get out of hand and it comes out that the other person has a major outcome, then now it's a national issue. So then they're gonna go by, "Oh wow, what can we do? We gotta cover this up, we gotta cover this up." It starts with us and them, and we gotta open up the dialogue for conversation. I am not a criminal just because I am different.
Let's transition though, and from a perspective of what you've been through, what happened to the young man in McKinney, and how these issues keep revolving around, how they keep coming back and forth. Because we noticed from the time, guys, I'm gonna let you know, I was born in the 80s, he's born in the 80s, just to give you a rough estimate, early 80 babies. So we're in that age range of 35 to 45, okay? And with that being said, we've seen some things, but we've never necessarily experienced the aggression of racism that our parents did, or their parents, which would be our grandparents. Obviously because they went through some things that were just a little bit more severe than us.
Yeah.
But what we're noticing in the 21st century, how history repeats and revolves itself, is that with the cameras, with the ability to be able to record something, you can see present day just hate crimes that are getting switched over to civil suits where people are receiving money for these situations and the crime is being overlooked. So we're gonna pause right there. We're gonna come back. We're gonna take a real nice message for you guys.
There you go,